Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second edition of this program, TOSSEtech. I'm highly delighted to welcome everyone here, especially our panelists, and of course, as our keynote speaker for today. We'll be doing all the introductions later, and our special guests and great friends of the house who are here with us. Dr. Femi Ogunsanya, thank you so much, Ma, for joining us this morning. You've never missed any audition of TOSSE, and we are also very, very delighted to welcome you here. Mrs. Funke Fowler Amber, thank you very much, my sister, another great supporter of Edumark and a passionate education professional. Thank you so much. Mrs. Bisi Oyawoye, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Let me hand over to the MC, who has been able to click on now, so that she will do the formal ones there.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be here. Good morning. Okay, show of hands. Those of us who are having this meeting from your home, say hi.
Hi.
Your home or your office. You see, I think
Yes.
that we can close the conference at this moment because points made, right? This is what technology has brought our way now. I'm anchoring this event from Ogun State. I'm sure that I'm anchoring this event from Ogun State. I'm sure that we are all joining in from different parts of the world right now. So it's a great privilege and honor to be here. My name is Flourish Ayowale, and the very first edition of TOSSEtech. At that time, there was this vibe of TOSSEtech again. Like, what's technology and all these things we are talking about? But here it is. A tribe in Nigeria believes that what will teach you will teach you. So what will teach quite a number of us has successfully pushed us. And some of us are floundering, wondering if we're in a deep end. But great news, TOSSEtech is here, courtesy Edumark Consults. And throughout this dialogue period, we'll be deconstructing what it means for everybody. Hi, Lillian, you're welcome. It's good to see you. Hi, everybody. Let's keep the comments rolling in. So, at this point, I'd like to invite the one and only CJ on strings to take us into the national anthem. Can we all rise? We may please sit down.
Thank you.
It feels different, doesn't it? Ideally, we all would be in one room, everybody seeing everybody, you know. Now I can't even say to your neighbor, technology is a fabulous thing, because you're probably out there by yourself. But it is a fabulous thing. And throughout this 30-day dialogue, we'll be looking at everything that we can't possibly get to know to make this work for us, because it's our friend. It's here in the education sector and in other parts of our economy. It's my privilege and honor to invite the one and only Mrs. Yinka Ogunde, who needs no introduction.
I hear.
Who needs absolutely zero introductions.
Okay.
But
Yes.
if you don't know her, well, I'll be surprised. But if you don't, it's my pleasure to invite to the stage today Mrs. Yinka Ogunde, the MDC organization sponsoring this event. So,
okay.
over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Flourish. When we were actually thinking of who to anchor this event, we just decided that, look, we won't go and look for anybody outside. We will do everything in-house. And there is no other person to do it than somebody who has been there right from the, is it not the second or first edition of TOSSEtech that she has been there anchoring every part of the Total School Support Seminar and Exhibition. And that's why we said that even though she lives in Ogun State, thank God for technology. Everything is possible now. Our anchorman can even be in US, can be in Germany, can be in anywhere, and the job will still get done. So on that note, I want to say a big welcome to everybody that has joined us this morning. From the participants box, I can see so many school owners there already. I can see Mrs. Ajala, I can see Taiwo Alalade, I can see Bosse Ali from various top schools all over. I can see Dr. Abubakar Sadiq, I can see Fumi Ogundare, I can see Fumi Tela. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning, because I know the importance of time. I know how busy everyone is. And for you to decide to spend time with us this morning, I want to say thank you. First of all, I also want to welcome very, very specially our keynote speaker for today. She's somebody that I've known for years. She's somebody that I love very much. She's somebody that I call a very brilliant girl. She's somebody that even when I did not want to do this, she said, no, we must do it, sis. Please, Mrs. Juliet Chiazo Ehimuran, the country director of Google for Nigeria and West Africa. I want to welcome you this morning, every one of us. In my office, we're saying welcome. Thank you so much for your support, because you actually encouraged us to do TOSSEtech this year. You said we just must go on. So Julia, thanks for doing that. And I also want to welcome very specially all our panelists. From Dimeji Falano, Edmis Catalyst, they're doing amazing things in the education sector now. And thank you, Dimeji, for joining us this morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Mo. We had a practice session earlier, and I want to say thank you also for being here. And Femi Taiwo, Leap Africa, we're honored to have you here. My dear Ayomide Adetuji is representing the students here on this forum this morning, all the way from African Leadership Academy in South Africa. And he's a Nigerian, but who's just finished his A-levels, and because of the present reality, the new normal is still in South Africa, he cannot come home. So Ayomide, we're delighted that you're able to join us here this morning. Nonetheless, what is the whole purpose of TOSSEtech? Why did we decide to do TOSSEtech? I remember that when we held the first edition of TOSSEtech at the Sheraton Hotel, and we were talking about technology. We were talking about the possibilities of remote learning. We were talking about the possibility of not seeing your teachers when you are learning. And every one of us smiled inclusive of Yinka Ogunde. Because at that time, everyone would just look at how can that be possible that we will not see our teachers for months and months. Now we are faced with our new reality. We call it the new normal. We don't know when the old order, in quotes, will ever come back. The reality is that it's not going to come back again. And that means that we must make the best. We must continue to live our lives. And one of the things that we also discovered is the fact that a lot of educational institutions are grappling with so many issues at this time. And we believe that by bringing to them this Edtech dialogue for 30 days, a lot of things will happen. So that's why I want to welcome everyone here, especially my special guests who have also, despite the very short notice, also joined us. So 1 minute each from my dear auntie, Dr. Femi Ogunsoya, and Mrs. Funke Fowler Amber. Please, just 1 word each before we go on to our keynote speaker and I hand over to the MC. Dr. Ogunsoya, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be on this platform. And I'm so excited that TOSSEtech that used to take place at 10 degrees is taking place online this year. How about that for seizing opportunities of the realities of the present dispensation? I trust my dear Aburu, Yinka Ogunde, she will not waste any opportunity. And therefore she's seized into this opportunity and it's going to go on for 30 days. How amazing is that? It's kicking off on a very exciting note. And I'm particularly excited to hear from the student, Ayomide, his experience and what his thoughts are concerning the current realities we find ourselves in. I'm impressed by the panelists, the people who are going to be speaking to this morning, Dr. Mo, Mr. Femi Taiwo, and of course the MD of Microsoft. You're all welcome.
Google.
Sorry, Google.
Yeah.
Sorry, brothers and sisters. You're welcome to this platform and I'm really, really excited. I'd like to once again congratulate Mrs. Yinka Ogunde for her dynamism, for her creativity. She is so full of energy, for her enthusiasm about education. For somebody who came from a marketing background to be making such waves in education is laudable. And it just goes to show that she has the mindset, a very positive growth mindset that is willing to consider whatever is needed in her ecosystem to make a difference. You are definitely making a difference, and I'm sure you'll continue to make a difference. Like I said, the fact that we are online this morning and holding TOSSEtech virtually, it has blown my mind. Congratulations, congratulations, and I wish you every success for every single day of this conference.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, this is Funke Fowler Amber, and then a word for my sister. This is Ojoyawe too after that. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on board. We especially thank Edumark because what Edumark has shown the education community is that we cannot be complacent. And through this 30 days of training, it's also ringing to us very, very loudly to the education space that competency after 5 years is obsolete. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your support during the pandemic to all the educators for showing them that they have value and also for showing them that they're also a significant part of the growth of our great country, Nigeria. I thank you for all the panelists that you've invited. I'm looking forward to listening to each and every one of them because I think, unlike most people, I don't see the pandemic as being negative. I see the pandemic as a wake-up call for all of us, for us all to realize that the new currency, especially in education, is technology. That is the only way forward with human capital development, and that is the only way we can be globally competitive. And I'm sure Ayomide, with him being on the panel, has realized, being with the brightest of brightest at African Leadership Academy, has realized that the whole education system, whether it's the public sector or the private sector, has to go through a frame reshift. So thank you for inviting us. We're really, really excited. And thank you for all your support all the years. Through your programs, you have made us go back to our individual schools to understand that we cannot stay the way we are, but we have to constantly progress to make sure that we are in the playing field with other countries. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, Mrs. Bisi Sojo Oyawoye.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and it's such a pleasure to be here today. I celebrate you, my sister, Yinka Ogunde. I mean, each time you just make me know that you are created in God's image, that there's nothing you cannot do if you set your mind to doing it. I want to celebrate everybody here. Again, like Dr. Ogunsoya said, it was 10 degrees before. Now this is 360 degrees. We're all over the world, from South Africa, from Ogun State, from wherever. We would have been struggling to enter that hall in 10 degrees. You know, so this is a welcome development for me. I mean, COVID is not happening to us, it is happening for us. So it is not business as usual, it is business unusual. Absolutely. I'm glad that we are adapting, we are adjusting, and more than that, we are creating and recreating ourselves. I celebrate you, Juliet Chiezo, as usual. You look beautiful and amazing, and I'm looking forward to what you have to do this morning. And but not the least, it just goes to show that we all must be fit. F-I-T, the future is technology. Absolutely. So if you are not fit, please go and get fit, not in the gym, but in the technology. I am the one happy. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Bisi. Before I hand over to the MC this morning, I believe that Google, within the 30 days that we will be having the dialogue, we are actually going to put something together for them. They want to meet the education community so that they will be able to share a lot of things with us. And we're going to try and schedule it for maybe up a week, but we will give everyone here the details. And I'm sure that it will really help us going forward. How do we ensure that we get the right tools to be able to support our learning? So thank you all for being here. I can see so many amazing people here. The hall is filling up fast, and so many school owners in there, so many developers of educational products and services. We appreciate you all. Enjoy the rest of this very, very brief and interesting opening ceremony. Yes.
I can't get a round of applause. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Ogunde. Thank you, Mrs. Paula Amber. Thank you, Dr. Mrs. Femi Ogunsoya. And thank you for Mrs. Bisi Oyawoye. You're always an inspiration. So today it's my privilege and honor to take us into the next step in this program. And okay, so if there's anything that I miss, is that maybe I would have been able to smuggle myself into a couple of selfies if we're in a physical place, and then I can share on Instagram and say, meet my best girl, the CEO of Google Nigeria, the country director of Google. Okay, but without further ado, I'll be introducing Mrs. Juliet Tayman, who we all know. She's the country director of Google Nigeria, as well as the regional director for Google in West Africa. Recently, she became an independent non-executive director at Nestle. So if you are not impressed, if you are not intimidated by now, I think you should be. She was also named one of the top 20 power women in Africa, and the London Business School named her as one of the 30 people changing the world. So get ready to be transformed positively. It's my honor to invite to the stage today Mrs. Juliet Eimo. And a round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's
Good
really
morning.
Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Ogunde and the Edumark team for putting this together. And congrats for taking TOSSE online. It's amazing, it's fantastic. It's a great development in absolutely the right direction. So I'm gonna just share my slides now. Please let me know if you can see my slides.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Great. So I love the theme for this conference, education and technology, the future is here. I think that is most ideal because really, if you think about it, education and technology are really two sides of the same coin. You can't really talk about one without the other, certainly not today. If you really think about it, the rise of digital technology and platforms offers a lot of benefits. And one umbrella encapsulating most of the benefits is just expanding our knowledge, access to information, which is really about learning, whether it is academic information, business information, entertainment information, news, traffic, and weather information. These are all expanding our knowledge and our learning about our environment and different concepts. And so technology, as we've seen in the past few decades, has really transformed the way we live, the way we interact with one another, increasingly the way we learn. And we're currently in a digital world, that's very clear. And the digital revolution, which started at the turn of this century, has really democratized access to information and has also been characterized by a ubiquitous access to the internet. Really, one of the, something that is evidence is, where does the power tend to lie these days? In the past, the most powerful companies were companies that developed physical assets, for example, automobile companies. But today, the most valued companies are, for the most part, tech-enabled companies or organizations providing tech solutions like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft. The largest bookstore today is online. And so technology has become an integral part of every business and every organization. The recent pandemic that we've been going through, the COVID pandemic, has also underscored the importance of and the need for digital transformation. And that is increasingly seen as the new normal. During the pandemic, the organizations that were more resilient and even thrived were largely tech-enabled businesses. And this is true regardless of your sector. So not just technology organizations, but organizations that have technology integrated into their business processes, and therefore were able to work remotely and were able to just, not be stifled by the lockdowns and the downtime. It's so important today to integrate technology into the core of what we do, and there are many benefits to be had by that. Now, this is a food for thought for everyone. Ironically, while technology has transformed virtually every sector, formal education is an area that has been more slow to change. The impact of technology has not been as radical and transformative as in other areas. If we think about it, you can call for taxis on a phone, you can carry out banking transactions online, you can purchase your groceries using an app. Yet most of us are learning the way we learned about 20, 30 years ago, specifically when we talk about formal education. You still have to go into class, maybe at 8 o'clock, finish at 2. So there's a start-stop
as a system. And now that we find ourselves in a situation where existing delivery models are being challenged, as an example, a lot of schools are unable to open, we're now having to accelerate the role of technology in education as we experience it today. And I think this is an incredible opportunity, as was mentioned by one of the earlier speakers. It's a great opportunity to think expansively and to determine the full range of transformative things that technology can do in education and how we can make that work for our environment. Now, there are a number of benefits and areas of application, and I'd like to touch on 3 broad areas where technology can make a transformative impact on education. The first is self-directed learning and remote instruction, productivity enhancement, and workplace readiness. So starting with self-directed learning and instruction. With digital tools, you can teach from anywhere, learn from anywhere, and that really makes self-directed instruction possible. Education today cannot be static. The classroom should be mobile. The pace of change is accelerating so much that it should be possible to learn things quickly when needed. Self-directed learning also allows us to customize learning for ability in a way that is more comprehensive. I can pause what I'm learning to do something else and then come back when I'm done. And we've seen some great examples of this, which I'll share shortly. Expanding learning outside the classroom is particularly important in a continent like Africa, where in a lot of our countries, there's a shortage of qualified teachers. And when you think about the population boom that is expected, it's projected that by 2050, the African population would more than double from 1.2 billion people today to 2.5 billion people. Then we really need to think about how we provide education at scale. And technology solutions can really provide a lot of, a way to really accomplish this. One example is just the use of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning that we're seeing today being applied to really drive and support self-directed learning. I'll give an example of an app that we created called Bolo, which is really intended to support young children in enhancing their reading ability. It uses machine learning, and so it's able to detect when the child is struggling and provide suggestions. It would acknowledge the child when he or she gets something right. It's very interactive and easy for the most grassroots children to actually use on a simple mobile phone. I'm going to play a video now to just see a little bit about that.
In Nigeria now, even everywhere, if you're not educated, you're nothing. So I want my child to be educated. I would love that very much.
Without education, we cannot move forward. With education, we can go anywhere in this world.
Amanda is very bright, but our problem is reading. She cannot read very well.
TOSSEtech is a good boy. He's trying in terms of reading.
Since she started using this Bolo app, there's a lot of changes.
Of noise, some people also call it hole in the wall.
The things that they cannot pronounce, they will help them pronounce it. It's kind of a teacher in the phone. So she has started doing her assignments on her own. You don't have to call her elder sister to read for her before she answers her questions. She's now reading her questions on her own.
Reading can help us to anywhere.
The Bolo app has helped a lot, so I know it will still help other children.
I can read well with Bolo app.
So this is why I'm excited when I say the possibilities are endless. This is just an example. This is one app. It is not exhaustive. There are so many other solutions that just really, make it possible for us to break existing barriers and, go beyond boundaries and make many things possible. Of course, there are some requirements for this to become real for us at scale, and I'll get to that shortly. But this just shows, some examples of just innovative ways that we can really bring more people into the fold and ensure that everyone gets the benefit of learning. And then for teachers who need to be constantly up to date, a lot of the existing technology tools and platforms can connect you with up-to-date information, like academic research in any field, solutions like Google Scholar, for example, and even if we think about collaboration, delivery, etc., platforms like Zoom that we're leveraging today, Google Classroom, and other video conferencing and e-learning platforms really make a difference and make that, learning and teaching from anywhere possible. From a student perspective, technology makes it possible to have discussions using tech platforms where resources can be pinned to virtual classrooms, online libraries. In the past, to access the wealth of information in books, you had to go to a physical library. But today, the world's library is online and we have access to that information at our fingertips just with a smartphone, right? And this is incredibly powerful. And as I always say, it provides a level playing field because a student at the Lagos State University and a student at Benson Dahausa University have access to the same information as their counterparts in, say, Harvard University or MIT, right? And so it really provides a level playing field and just makes it possible for our young people, our students, to just really maximize their potential. Now, there's an interesting opportunity as well that this context offers, and that is ability to break boundaries and expand our reach beyond borders. So by taking academic content online and being able to access that, all of a sudden, it doesn't really matter whether you're in the same geopolitical zone or whether this school is, close to where you live, etc. And from the perspective of the school, it opens up your market, right? Where you can offer good quality learning programs and materials for anybody in the world. That can be an incredible income generating opportunity. And around the world, we're seeing a lot of organizations, I just put some examples on this slide, taking advantage of that, providing online courses to the world that people pay for. In some cases, they're free, but the monetization comes in other ways, to just make sure that those courses are getting a wider reach. And on the left, this slide, this is an interesting one. It was actually created, this is like summer online Yoruba language class that was shared widely. And, a friend of mine in the US actually got his son to subscribe to this class. So you have someone in the US leveraging teachers from Nigeria to provide training. And this is not just Yoruba. Also in mathematics, he got one of the teachers from Nigeria to teach his son, mathematics. So this really opens up opportunities for our academic institutions. The second broad area I'd like to talk about is productivity enhancement. Now, when we talk about productivity, we're thinking about three things. The first is operational efficiency. Just the fact that in general, technology tools and platforms help to boost productivity, whether you're talking about, supply chain management, where technology can be used to connect demand with supply, or marketing, where digital platforms can be leveraged to enhance the number of student applications, or just optimizing internal business processes like payroll, HR, and general administration. Digitizing student records makes planning easier and shortens the length of transactions. For example, processing of transcripts. Payroll and payment systems also save time, increase efficiency, and ultimately are more cost effective. Many schools have been leveraging online platforms more and more to just create awareness and build affinity with students. Hello?
Yeah, yes, please go on. We can hear you.
Okay, okay. I thought I heard a comment. Okay. So, you know, affinity with students, with partners, and with parents as well. And currently, a lot of referrals into schools for new enrollments are through word of mouth or ads. You know, your school can have a social media presence or a YouTube channel through which you can amplify the voice of the school and virtually show people, you know, maybe the quality of learning, your approach, maybe the ground, school events, those types of things, and just really use that to increase, you know, acquisition of students. Now, increased profitability is an interesting one, and one I would expect is top of mind for every administrator today, especially given the, you know, the challenges we've experienced so far. A lot of businesses have been disrupted, you know, revenue has gone down and so on. So every business, including, you know, educational institutions, are looking at how can we be sustainable? How can we increase revenue and profitability? Now, increasing profitability clearly means, you know, reducing costs and also making revenue bigger than costs. And revenue in schools is largely limited to the number of students, at least, you know, prior to today, the number of students you can physically place in a classroom, in each classroom, right? And in the old model, students have to physically come together to register. You need to build classrooms, build hostels, libraries, and so on and so forth, right? And, you know, even if it's a large campus, maybe you have about 30,000 people on campus. With technology, we can have an additional model, which is around virtual campuses, where the number of students is unlimited. And by explaining delivery models to include, expanding delivery models to include virtual classrooms, we can save costs because you don't need to build dorms. You don't need to build classrooms or canteens or, you know, security systems and all that. And the same content created once can be used by, you know, millions of people, right? So you get a lot more value out of your initial upfront investment, which is an incredible way to scale, right? Just investing in the online infrastructure and content, and then you just keep generating revenue from that same material. That, I think, is an incredible opportunity and one that is certainly worth considering. And then the final bucket is around workplace readiness. Now, it's possible to augment existing curriculum by taking advantage of databases, modules, and resources online. The intention around this is to ensure that students, when they graduate, have job-ready skills and can really build innovative solutions for industry. It's important to extend curriculum by taking advantage of learning materials that are online to be able to ensure that students have the right skill sets to be able to cope with the competitive challenges within the modern workplace. We're talking about, you know, workplace of the future and the sorts of skills that employers are looking for and how to make sure that students have those up-to-date and relevant skills. Corporate organizations can be technical partners to educational institutions. Educational institutions can also provide research and development services to organizations and even training. And so there is a partnership and an interplay that can be mutually beneficial. And I think this is really worth exploring, especially as we look at opportunities, you know, beyond the COVID era. One of the things that we as Google are doing in this space, and there are different organizations doing different things, and it's good to, you know, bring all of this together and see how to make sure that they are leveraged to full benefit. One of the things we've been doing is, you know, we pledged to train 10 million people with digital skills in 5 years. We're halfway there. And we're doing this in collaboration with schools, with different partners. It's an open program and it's both offline and online, but now, you know, primarily online. And also in the wave of COVID and the challenges within the educational space and the fact that classrooms are having to move online, we've pivoted also to work with, you know, faculty and students around, you know, leveraging digital learning platforms. We did a pilot with over 10,000 students and faculty members, and we're looking to scale that. That's in Nigeria, and we're looking to scale that beyond those numbers. That's one example. There are different organizations doing different things that can be leveraged and harnessed. Now, there are certain things that need to be in place, and I'm sure there are discussions about this already. One is, for these solutions to be available, we need reliable telecoms infrastructure. Our telecoms infrastructure has been stretched in the past few months in the country because of the accelerated demand for webinars, using online solutions, e-learning, etc. But this is a huge dependency if we're going to realize the full benefits of online learning that we are talking about. The second is just access to devices, right? And this is also not just for the urban areas, also thinking about, low-cost portable devices, in the rural areas, and expanding that connectivity as well, so that nobody is left behind, so that we can actually provide education at scale and, reach a diversity of people. The final part is obviously digital skills, and that is from the perspective of faculty members as well as the perspective of students. Just having that competence around, the latest tools and solutions, how to, maximize online resources to bring learning to life and to bring those tools and knowledge to life. I think collaboration is key for all of this. So if, for example, it's expensive to create infrastructure, right? So if, for example, you're looking at creating a learning hub as a university or a secondary school, or if you're trying to do that on your own, the cost might be a little bit higher. But there might be an opportunity for a number of schools to come together collaboratively, because if you build one hub, there's no need necessarily for every school to have its own hub, building everything end to end from scratch, right? There may be some things that are unique to each organization. But by and large, once a learning hub is created, it can be accessed by anyone, as long as it goes with the curriculum, the approved curriculum. It can be accessed by anyone. Sorry?
I said exactly. A great point.
Absolutely.
Great point.
Absolutely. It can be leveraged by anyone, anywhere, in any school, right? So there's an opportunity to come together to minimize the costs and look at building, a world-class learning hub that can then be monetized, not just for our local traffic, but also for international traffic. And that is an incredible opportunity within that space. Now, coming together in that way as well would make it easier to approach, other organizations like telecom companies, right? And incentivize them around providing maybe discounted data bundles so that these modules can be accessible to students, right? Or, other organizations that would have resources that can be, brought into the mix. So, leadership in this space and this level of collaboration and partnership is important if we're going to move forward and overcome the current barriers that we have. So in summary, I would say technology, not only is it the future, it is actually the present. This is imperative for survival. Like, there's no other way to stress this. It's imperative for survival. We have to, and there's an invitation to every administrator to be ahead of the game. Not every organization is going to be able to move quickly, right? To take advantage of the opportunities, but those who do will be the winners. And so it is an invitation to every administrator to actually be ahead of the game, make a decision, reach out, right, to technology partners and other relevant stakeholders, and create that vision to leverage technology in a way that provides world-class learning materials that other schools, people from different places will be pointing to. The classroom of the future is a digital enabled classroom. I often say that I firmly believe that digital literacy is today what basic literacy was to society years ago. It is now the level playing field and the starting point. To stay ahead of the game, schools should incorporate technology to provide dynamic, accessible, up-to-date, and relevant learning. Digital platforms can increase your reach, even allowing you to deliver content beyond borders. Today, technology is not a nice to have, but a must have, and needs to be a core part of how we do business and provide learning. The reality is that technology will continue to drive the future. I firmly believe that Africa's biggest challenges will not be solved by traditional methods of the past. With technology advancements like artificial intelligence and machine learning that we have today, these problems can be solved in radically different ways and more cost effectively. There are certain challenges to be overcome, of course, such as digital access and the availability of a robust digital infrastructure. As innovative and transformative ideas sweep through different sectors, the educational sector is next in line for leveraging technology to drive significant and radical growth. And let's do that together. I think this conference is a great opportunity for such discussions, bringing all relevant stakeholders together. There is an incredible opportunity in front of us. Let's work together to transform education and learning for the benefit of helping our young people be the best they can be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause from wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. That was a brilliant opening session. I don't know about you, but I have learned so much just from this keynote address. And I mean, it's real and it's here. I mean, the beyond and you know, the idea that technology has sort of bridged the gap for everybody is really inspiring. From what we have discussed so far, I'd just like to give a quick recap in the sense that the first thing that you said that struck me would be thinking at scale. Thinking at scale. That's something that needs to, you know, become a part of how we reason as business providers, as educators, as school business owners. Thinking at scale. You know, you have your school, maybe you have about 6 blocks, and then you have just about, each room can contain maybe 15 children. But here we are with technology, we can think beyond what our physical campuses can contain for time. So thinking at scale is something I really want us all to continue to think about. Another thing that really struck me would be the importance of collaboration. I remember that this is something that has been a part of, you know, conversations in the education space for a couple of years now. When we talk about 21st century skills, we talk about critical thinking, creativity. I know that repeatedly collaboration is something that has been emphasized. And then Ms. Juliet said something about schools coming together to build one up. If we have one great hub, I mean, these days, sometimes we have up to 6 schools on one street. If we have one great hub, why do we have to build, why do I have to build mine? You build yours, you build yours, you build yours. When we can all come together, build one amazing one, and everybody into it. So that's really key. That's amazing. We are very wonderful. Players in the education space are very, very interesting. And I've been seeing a couple of comments, you know, about saying people saying technology cannot work, that thing cannot do, it can't work, it's not for us in Africa. That's the importance of a conference like this, like TOSSEtech. But if there's anything I want anybody to take out of this session, like Ms. Juliet said from the beginning, I remember Mrs. Paula also said, Paula Amber said something about that at the beginning. She said she does not see this pandemic as a crisis. Mrs. Oya, what you also said the same thing. Educators,
Absolutely.
we really need to work on our mindset. If there's anything that you can take away from this conference at all, is the importance of working on our mindset. If we want to solve tomorrow's problems, today's problems with yesterday's methods, we will not be in business tomorrow. That's something that we all need to embrace. Technology is not here to kill us. It's not here to kick teachers out of the industry. It's here for each and every one of us. So, thank you very much again, Miss Juliet. It's been amazing listening to you, and it's an honor to be here to guide you through your session here. So we have a couple of questions. I don't know how that will go. Maybe we'll take them at the end, or we'll collect them at the end of the conference and then release them later on.
A panel discussion.
Okay, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. So thank you, everybody. You have more. If you've taken something away from the keynote address, can we just see, put boom, boom, boom in the comment section if you've taken anything away?
Boom, boom,
I mean, I can go boom, 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 boom. Thank you, Oluremiola. Thank you very much, Inka Ogunde. Thank you, Olubukola Fadansi. Thank you, thank you, Mrs. Peju Falekulo. It's been amazing. On this note, we can move on to the next segment, but I would like Ms. Ogunde to just come and say a few words.
Yes, just a word. I mean, because we are trying to run here as well as on YouTube and as well as on Facebook. So on our various groups on Facebook. So if you get questions from there, please just keep your phone close to you. We'll be able to send you urgent questions if we see the ones that we can tackle. So please go ahead. I know Rhoda is in the house now, and we're trying to keep to time. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So on this note, we'll be moving on to the next segment. When you have first you have your starters, right? Then you go into your main dish, and then you go into desserts, right? So we've had an amazing starter, but please save some space in your tummy. We are going into the main dish right now, and it's going to be delicious. I've seen a couple of boom, 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 booms in the comment section, and it's great to know that everybody's taking key nuggets away from our conversations today. I'll be handing over to the panelists right now. Thank you, Mrs. Rhoda Odigbo, for being here today. It's amazing to have you here again. It's been quite long. So on our panel today, we have Ms. Rhoda, who will be the moderator. We have Dr. Mo. Okay, so quick one. Usually, I think for about 3 years now, we've tried to get Dr. Mo into TOSSE, right? But there's always a clash. She's usually maybe out of the country or engaged otherwise. Guess what? With technology, no more excuses. Even if you're in, I don't know, Timbuktu, you just need to flick on your device and then you're here. So it's great to have you in here. Dr. Mo is a policy expert, and she's the managing director of the TEP Center. Thank you very much. We have Mr. Dimeji Falana, who is the CEO and co-founder of Edvest Catalyst, one of the leading education technology companies in Nigeria. We also have Mr. Femi Taiwo, who is the executive director of Leap Africa, an amazing, amazing organization. And last but definitely not least, we have Ayomide Adetunji, Mr. Robotics, who is a living example of all that we are trying to discuss here today. At this point, I'll be handing over to the panel. Ms. Rhoda, over to you.
Yes, just before Rhoda comes up, I mean, Ayomide is an interesting addition for us here. Ayomide has represented Nigeria in robotics in about 4 countries. So he represents a new generation of Nigeria. He's represented in Washington. He's represented us in China. He's represented us in various, all on robotics. And that means that they are the future for them is truly here. They are living it. So we have in here. The panel has about 45 minutes for the discussion. I don't know how Rhoda will run it. Rhoda, it's great to have you here. So maybe all your discussions will take about 3 minutes or 5 minutes first, and then begin with your questions. Yeah. So you have 45 minutes.
Okay, so I'd like us to go straight into the panel. Maybe not exactly by going everyone having five minutes, so that we can manage the questions and then get everyone to respond, so that we can also manage within our 45 minutes. So I'm going to basically start with one question. I've written it down, so I'm all ready. And everyone is going to have a go at this question. I think it's just an important one because it serves as a background to where we are. A lot of people have said education, like here right now, we've taken one thing that education, we should not see COVID-19 as a crisis, which is excellent. I call it the educational storm of blessing. And so, and it's a great thing because some of us have been ringing those gongs of, hey, get your class tech integrated for a while. And here we are being forced to do it. And so we're very glad about this forceful integration and forceful application and, embrace of technology. And TOSSEtech is all about that. So let me start with the first question. My name is Rhoda Odibos, currently serving as Director of Academics for Bridge, Nigeria. Let me start with this first question. So this question, I'm going to, it's a kind of straightforward question, but I want every panelist to touch on it. So it's not that we use technology. That's what I like to say. I like to say that we live technology today and that the future is today. We often talk about the future as sometime tomorrow, sometime next tomorrow, not sometime next year or a decade from now. But the truth is that the future is today. I remember what they used to say when I was growing up, they say, who are the leaders of tomorrow? Well, I'm here now and we're at this age. So the future is today and technology has significantly shaped the way we live and work. What has been the disconnect for the education sector in adopting tech holistically? And what is one thing? So my question is like tripartite question. It's like, what has been that disconnect? And I want you to answer it this way. I'd like you to answer it this way. What is one thing we missed? Because as a background, to just getting everybody to understand where we are. Because believe me, there's still some people or a group of people who are still wondering, do I have to? Do I have to? And of course, those kinds of questions come around when they don't find themselves capable of doing certain things. So what is one thing that we missed? What is one thing that we ignored? And what did we not clearly understand about the relevance and application of technology in education? So let me start with, I'd like to start with Dr. Mo. I didn't put you on the spot.
Thank you so much, Rhoda, and thank you, Mrs. Ogunde. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here. Flourish, I agree with you. I have been trapped, and I would not wish for a better entrapment. So it's wonderful, wonderful to be here. So I would answer that question, Rhoda, first of all, by saying that I think in terms of integrating technology, into education, the greatest or the furthest that we have probably gone is actually with learning. And this is within the context of Nigeria. And so today, there are many technology solutions that support children's engagement with curriculum content, either with children working on their own or working with facilitators. There are still challenges, obviously, with measuring, the effect of these learning interventions and innovations on the learners, but to say that they are available, many students are engaging with them, many students are able to take assessments, and that's all very nice and positive. However, there are other parts of the educational process on which have not seen that sort of adoption. So research, for example, and how we conduct research in Nigeria, how we make policies, how we conduct teacher professional development, curriculum design, administration. All of these are still very analog in their processes, if I can use that term, and have not been fully integrated with technology. One of my colleagues gave me an example. She said, you see, curriculum, for example, in Nigeria, there's a subject, information technology, IT. Some states might even add coding or software programming to supplement
the national curriculum. But that curriculum itself is not even available on a digital platform. It used to be available on the internet and people would pay for it, but in recent time, it's not even available. So that integration of, core and critical elements, that enable education to happen has not really occurred. What did we miss? I would say that we missed the opportunity to invest heavily in tech infrastructure, including last mile technology to schools, at a time when crude oil earnings would have enabled us to do so easily. And now we're in a bit of a challenging situation in terms of our crude oil exports and really scrambling when it comes to funding educational technology infrastructure. I would say that we missed opportunities to collaborate and share resources. And I think Juliet spoke brilliantly about this and how we could have learned how to share resources, share platforms, share tools to increase the robustness of our service delivery and also to reduce costs. And I would say that we did not understand how much of an enabler tech is. So those are my comments, Rhoda.
Thank you so much. That's so brilliant. Just like what we missed, honestly investing, we ignored the power of collaboration. And we clearly misunderstood, how we see technology as an enabler. Let me go straight to Dimeji. Dimeji, I want to hear your thoughts on. Would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Dimeji Falana. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Edtech Limited. I'm a full stack software engineer with about 12 years experience in the industry, and I lead strategy and innovation for the company. Talking about the education technology, I will want us to look at the 4 major categories of audience of education globally. We have the PK students that are nursery students in Nigeria. We have the K-12 that are primary and secondary school students in Nigeria. We have the higher ed, the tertiary institutions, the students in College of Education, polytechnics and university. And then we have the workforce group, students that are actually learning from work, that are currently at jobs. So what we have missed is that we have not been able to categorize clearly the audience of education and also being able to develop technology to meet their needs in different areas. And if
Dimeji, okay.
We don't put infrastructure in place to actually meet their needs. And the second thing is that we missed is there are so many solutions out there, hardware and software, that also lack the understanding of these categories of education audience. And we've seen so many investment in education across the globe and in Nigeria, which you know that is really, really lacking in understanding who are the audience. And even the companies that are even building these solutions are unable to understand what happens within the classroom setting in a typical day of a school. So actually plan that into building technology. And so that is actually a key part that is actually missing. So let me leave it at that for now.
Thank you so much, Dimeji. I think I'll quickly go to Ayomide. Ayomide, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're currently an ALU student, correct?
No, ALU. I graduated about a month ago.
Oh, wow, nice. I think you're still fresh out of the school. So, I'd love to hear you. What do you think, from your vantage point, what do you think we missed? What did we ignore? What didn't we understand?
Yeah, similar to what Mr. Falano and Dr. Mo had said. I think, yes, we did this. The sections are not properly made. And then there's also, for me, from what I've seen, I think there's an underlying issue that still needs to be dealt with in terms of students not actually learning. So even if we have all the infrastructure actually there, we don't know, the usage is not going to be up to par, because I know I've been helping with this math class at school for SATs, and then I sent out a bunch of resources, But these people do not fully understand how to use those resources. Because for me, I only had a month to study for mine. So I had to find a bunch of them. And then I found this website that helped me take exactly what I needed, focus on that, work on it. And the students that I was helping, a bunch of them are still having issues, even though these resources have been given to them. So I don't know if the problem is, because I know there's a large issue with power, getting the tools to actually let technology do its work. But the people, the teachers, the students, are they willing to actually teach? And are they also willing to learn? Because that's a whole other game on its own now. Because you can have the tools, online teaching, you can give a bunch of things, and no one is learning. The first time I realized this, I have this. My physics teacher is also Nigerian. He was a professor, and then he came to teach here. And then I know when this all started, everyone was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Because physics was stressing everybody in my class. And then he sent us this website to help us actually visualize the stuff, because normally we would go to and do the practicals in class. And then he sent us this university's website that had, they basically had visualizations of everything we had learned so far, so we could see exactly what we were trying to do. And from there, I also thought again that people also don't understand how they learn. Students, teachers, parents, they don't understand how their children actually learn. So they're just like, oh, send them to school, use the old way, new way. Nobody fully understands what people actually need. I know it's not easy to take each person and then create a system for that person, but I think it's also possible to make it slightly possible for them to find their path, because that was the way I found mine. I started to search for my own path, because I graduated as valedictorian back in my school in Nigeria. But then I left and I was like, do I actually deserve this? Because I didn't really do anything. All I did was try to find my path, but everyone else was trying to study hard. And yeah, generally, I think the underlying issue needs to be dealt with a little bit more before we start pushing technology into the thing.
Right. What a perspective, Ayomide. Really interesting. You know, the fact that you're thinking you're aligned with, like, how do we even, maybe we probably missed amplifying willingness of the populace to be integrated. That's an interesting conversation. That's I think that it needs a bit more diving in, but not at this time. Dr. Femi Taiwo, I'll come to you, and I guess with you responding to this question, I would also, take a bit of a cue from what Ayomide says and ask you about ask you some equity questions. So let me hear your take first on this, and then I'll follow up with you on another question around equity and access.
Thank you so much, Rhoda. Thank you. And thank you for upgrading my title to doctor. I've not gotten doctorate yet. Okay. It's a pleasure to be here at TOSSEtech today and to learn from everyone. So to your question very quickly, what did we miss in the wave of technology as educators and in the educational sector? Honestly, I think I agree with all that has been said. Maybe just an addition would be, I think we've been quite myopic about education, the purpose, the power, the potential of education. And I'm not speaking from a private sector lens. I know we have very solid leaders of education in the private sector here. But when we look at education holistically in our country, especially from the lens of the public sector, even before we get into tech infrastructure or the tech enablement, if we even look at the regular infrastructure, the physical infrastructure of buildings, the setup, the provisions for teachers' development, of the right number of teachers and the right quality of teachers, to the library and the tools they have access to, we've been quite myopic, and we've not been quite decisive about what we want for education for our people. We've not really realized it's one of the best and the biggest investments we ought to make. I mean, that comes across in the way we budget for education over the years. I mean, if our budget cannot even meet the regular infrastructure, how would we even be able to start thinking, or how would we have been thinking about technology? So I think this COVID-19 situation is a wake-up call, for us to rethink a lot of things, including technology. as part of the entire ingredients we need to be able to raise human capital in our country. So I think the major thing we missed was we've not asked ourselves the right questions. We've not really seen this as important. It was staring at us in the face. Like people alluded to, there've been a lot of tools that exist. This is helping us to open up our eyes, and I hope we'll maximize the opportunity to leapfrog education using technology.
Thank you so much, Femi. I'm correcting myself. Thank you so much, Femi, for that. And this was a very important beginning question, because they say in my language that if you don't know where you're going, then you probably shouldn't start, because you might get lost. And so this was very important for us, in just highlighting what we missed, so that we know where we need to get to, what El Dorado will look like for education and technology. So thank you so much, everyone, for that. So I'll start off with you again, Femi, and just talk about, because you work with LEAP, and that's like a youth engagement empowerment program, to support them towards career paths and by social impact and entrepreneurship. So I want to ask you, and I feel like this question is great for you, because it's about equity and access. And I'm going to follow up with you from your question to Dr. Mo, Dr. Mo is Dr. Mo. And I'm going to follow up with Dr. Mo. So please get ready, because it's going to delve into research and policy, which is your core area. Now, with equity and access, sorry about my lighting. So with equity and access, my question around is going to be basically around the research findings or research questions, actually, that highlight issues related to marginalized groups, right, and marginalized communities. And in your own case, I would then include, of gender, of ethnicity, of social economic status, of geography, where people are finding themselves, and maybe not too relatedly to yours, but of special needs and disabilities. Because I do know, that you also have people, young people who, come into your program with this social impact platforms. But unfortunately, these areas still remain, largely there with complete, or let me put it this way, insufficient research attention, especially as they may relate to findings, that will impact policymakers, on trying to, bridge this inequity gap. So let me talk about, I would like to ask you about how you, with LEAP, has leveraged on technology, or what role technology has played in helping you, support these young people in bridging inequity gaps across these groups. I imagine that you have people from all kinds of gender differences, socioeconomic status, like I said. What do you think has been the role that technology has played in helping you bridge that inequity gap within the sphere of your work?
Okay, let me answer this way. We've been able to address a bit of that. I wouldn't say we're doing a great job at that. There's a limit to what we can do. I mean, given the different constraints we have in our work. But to your question around how technology, can enable access and democratize access for all categories of people. So let me use an example. We're presently running a youth leadership program, and we have undergraduates from different universities across the 6 geopolitical zone. Access in some instances would have been, that training might have been happening in one particular part of Nigeria, and some other people, for many reasons, might not be able to come to the program physically. We also have one of our programs where we're supporting teachers across, secondary school teachers across 5 countries. And we have teachers in villages, in all manner of places. But all we can do on our own side is provide a learning management system, provide the resources within those learning management systems. The teachers and the students have devices, but there are some things we can't control. We can't control whether there is good internet in those villages, which also would not give them access to what already exists, or the cost of data. The best we can do, or our partners in all the places where we work can do, is, subsidize. So I would say, yes, technology democratizes access, across different groups. In fact, just like the keynote speaker mentioned, there's a lot of material and a lot of resources online that anyone, anywhere can access quality education, quality learning materials from wherever they sit. But the reality is that beyond that, there are still other barriers. You know, there's still other barriers I know in the control of actors like myself and yourself. So we are doing our own best, but I think this is where collaboration comes in. This is where multiple partners, let me give you an example of something that we can easily do. We have 774 local governments in Nigeria. What is stopping those 774 local governments areas to have ICT centers, places where young people in their local governments can, you know, maybe they might have vouchers or have a certain time every week that they can come and access any learning opportunity. I even think the major barrier to access are those hard infrastructure, not necessarily the learning materials. We have a lot of learning content that is being created by many partners. In fact, there are a lot of free things out there, but the major barrier to access would be the fact that many people cannot afford either the hardware or the data cost. So if we want to really solve the problems of access, we need big players, we need partners, you know, to democratize access by building hard infrastructure where people can come and learn. And that's probably one of the things that we need to invest in, you know, to really, really help young people across Nigeria.
Thank you so much. So I'll take this to Dr. Moore, because I know, Dr. Moore, I'd like you to touch a bit on that question I've asked Femi, and then to follow up with that, Rika, for you is, you know, we've talked about this lots and lots of use of this vocabulary collaboration. And you know what they say if you want to go alone, you go. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. You know, so I'd like you to follow up with his question and then talk about a bit about, you know, the challenges and benefits. So it's two things: challenges and benefits of extrapolating research findings from one developed world to, you know, to developing worlds. We know that there are examples, and do we always take to those examples? But there are, and are those examples quite contextual for us? So what will be the challenge there and the benefits in extrapolating those kinds of, any kind of research that, you know, you might have touched on, or that you must have, or you can see that is possible from developing worlds of what they've done, you know, right from to get themselves where they are today, to what's going to inform what's possible for us in Nigeria.
Great, thank you, Rhoda. I think to answer that question, maybe I should reflect on an experience that we had, you know, being approached by an international partner to collaborate on a particular data collection exercise during this pandemic. And the idea was to conduct an online survey which would be nationally representative. Now, if I have colleagues on this webinar who are researchers, you know that the notion of a nationally representative online survey right now is a bit of an oxymoron, simply because the access to infrastructure that enables you to go online is not nationally representative. And so I think the consensus for us was, look, we need to get enumerators to telephone, you know, the respondents that don't have access, you know, to the internet, and they would conduct the survey online, via the phone. They would fill in the survey instrument and they would hit send. That's the enumerators. So I think that it's really important. I think you may have answered your own question, that context matters and that we understand that context actually does matter. So there are challenges with extrapolating research findings from the global West, you know, and we don't even need to go as far as the global West. Even within Africa, there are many disparities, socioeconomic disparities, infrastructural disparities, and these challenges are fairly obvious. A lot of times we don't even have similar context. We don't have similar management or administrative frameworks to implement these research findings. You see, research is very contextual. A lot of people don't understand that even quantitative research requires some context to be able to understand the findings, nuance the findings, and use them appropriately. The bright light or the bright spot here is that learning is possible, and we emphasize learning rather than extrapolating findings. So how do we learn from region to region, from country to country? We belong to a movement, a citizen-led assessment movement at TEP Center. And the network is called the PAL Network. And it is a South-South effort made up of about 14 member countries now. And they're all in the global South. And every country brings something to the table. We are all committed to harnessing the power of citizens to generate data that is useful both at the grassroots level and at the policy level. So every country brings something to the table. You bring your data, you bring your experience, you bring your best practice. And that way we increase the pool of understanding and of learning for all. But we also know that the world, including Nigeria, can also learn from global evidence and from best practice. But where we want to get to is a situation where Nigeria is not simply the consumer of data or evidence that comes from the international context, but that we are also contributing to the conversation. And this is where we need to get more disciplined about, conducting studies, about writing up those studies, and about using the knowledge that we have generated to create evidence which can make change happen within our own context. Rhoda?
Thank you so much, for highlighting that, and the fact that we do need to, all research is contextual, and we need to also look within, what we have and how we can learn. Like you focus on learning, and that's something that is critical to, the infusion and integration of tech in our education space. So I would quickly go over to time. The future is here. I'd like to see myself as the future. I'd like to see you as the future, and everyone, including the children coming right behind us, as the future. And truly, the future is here. And so I'll ask you, Ayomide, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to say that the future is here when it comes to in relation with education and technology, and in the way you've schooled, in the kind of education system that you've had, and how has technology actually made you this great young man representing Nigeria everywhere in the world, and the role education and technology had to play in it?
All right, thank you for the question. For me personally, I have always been interested in computers. So like right now I have a second monitor at the side of me because I write code normally, and I also do some hacking and all of that. And so for me, tech has it's one of the ways that I was able to start enjoying learning in the sense. For me, it may not be for everyone. It may not be like that for everyone, but for me, that's how I started enjoying. Because in school, I would go to school, they would teach me. I'm like, oh, all right, cool, that's fine. But more times than not, what I learned and used in school was from what I researched, or sometimes I could be playing a game, and then I find a relationship between something I had learned in class and something I saw in the game. Like for physics or math, you would just see, because I also started learning how to make games, and most of it is mathematics. And through that's why I wonder when people say games are not good, and I'm like, hold on. Games can be, depending on how, because the more you tell them it's not good, you tell children it's not good, it's constantly going to be in their mind that it's not good. So instead of actually finding a way to learn through that, instead of telling them that there's always a way to learn from games, there's a way to learn from everything. And that's one thing I learned since I've been going to school. I've been going to school basically all my life. So over time, I had to refine the way, because I would see other people reading. My mom, I know she would tell me, if you studied more, you would do better in school. But that was not the way for me. That was not the way for me. And my learning was more hands-on and more just understanding exactly what's going on. Because for some topics in school, the students can be in class and then they teach them this particular thing. And you're like, what's the basis for that? What's the root for that? Like in primary school, I know I asked my brother, is it possible to have 4 minus 5? And it was like, it's impossible. It's impossible, because they don't know what that is. And it's like we remove some of the important things when they're younger, when it's best for them to actually learn those things, because in their mind now, they're going to remember it for much easier and learn new things. And that's another thing I think tech can actually help with in terms of giving them this, showing them where the resources are and just seeing, because even there are YouTube videos explaining so many things. Like sometimes I would go to school, I don't understand what goes on. I go to a YouTube video, one of those Indians on YouTube, and then I learn what I need to learn. Even when I was learning programming, I learned it for the robotics competition. I know it was Java, and then YouTube was basically my best friend. I would go to YouTube, find this video. There's always another YouTube video teaching that particular thing. And then I go there and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And even I remember when I was writing JAM, because I didn't want to read the actual book, the book I was supposed to read, I found an app. There was an app somewhere that just gave you a summary. And then I was like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's good for me. Now I've picked what I need to learn. So I think tech, in the sense that it's the future, it's in so many ways, because there are so many things that were unnecessary. Just like Mr. Falano said, he said that it removes the tedious things. And I agree with that. I've seen it in so many ways, because I write code, I've built stuff for people, but I never really enjoyed it because clients are stressful. So in general,
oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Maybe I come in a little now on Ayomide. Ayomide is just like me. Ayomide has been his father is my immediate younger brother. So if you put us aside, we sort of look alike. And I want to say that when it comes for holidays in my house, we need to reprogram everything because he will have scattered it. A week after that, we're still calling him to come and please tell us what he did to the TV, what he did to this phone, what he did to that. So I think it's now paying off. I can now understand his thinking that he must first find out where. So I said, let me chip that in. Now I can understand. It's great listening to you, Ayomide.
Thank you, Ayomide. That was profound.
There was one more thing that I wanted to add in terms of younger children, nursery school children. We try to keep them away from these things a lot, maybe managing the time they use on them, but they actually do learn a lot from technology in itself, not even about technology itself, but about the world around them. And from there on, it gives them the opportunity to begin to, because I love babies, so I go and do research on a bunch of things just to see how exactly, because when you get older, it's like there are systems everywhere trying to stop you. Oh, don't do this. But if you do it, I understand some of the things, but there are some things that if you go hands-on, feel what is going to happen there, you would understand. Because even for hardware, for my laptop is a gaming laptop. There are sometimes I have to take out everything in it just to fix something up in it. And I wouldn't have learned that if I had never been touching stuff before. So technology is not something what I think it's the future. The future is now, definitely. But that's why we need to start thinking of the best way to actually integrate it. And the best way is going to look different for everybody. It's going to look different for every school. Just like Mr. I love the work they are doing, because what he spoke about, and I'm like, it makes a lot of sense, because for each school, they're looking at exactly what they need. Like my school is this app that is called Canvas. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Sorry.
No. And that's the student voice version of this channel. Really good, and that's really what we're here to talk about, how it affects parents, all stakeholders, how it affects schools, how it affects the children that will learn. The major mentions learning outcomes, which is the major target. What does learning outcomes look like in terms of integrating technology? And I guess I would like to round up, this session, because I know we're way past time. But I want to hold on to Dr. Mo, in my closing. I know that, we say that the future is here. But there is a future without policy, and how can we navigate this world of policy in terms of institutionalizing the reasons why the reasons Ayomide has given to us and why we must engage, with these platforms with the children that we're currently serving. Please, could you talk about that sort of like in the closing statement?
Thank you, and thank you, Ayomide, for drawing attention to a point that I think is really important to make on this kind of forum. For me, evidence-based policy making needs to become custom. It needs to become the norm in a country like Nigeria. We cannot continue to make education policies based on someone's feelings or perceptions or their experience.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, otherwise we have confusion in the system. Now, recently, a number of Nigerian universities, tertiary institutions, have begun a drive referred to as the Town Meets Gown, which is where academia begins to connect more powerfully with society. And you may have noticed the rise of research and innovation centers that a number of universities are developing. Innovation has to become cultural if we're going to truly take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution.
Absolutely.
And our tertiary institutions have to begin to focus more on applied research. And what do I mean by applied research? It's simply, how do we answer specific questions that are designed to solve practical problems? It's a scientific method of study. It cuts across business, medicine, education, technology. How do we improve healthcare? How do we address scientific problems? How do we address pedagogical issues? Maybe Google, let me put them on the spot. Maybe Google can fund more applied research centers for tech innovation. Because what you do is you then get the rigor of academia as well as the creativity of innovators. And as we do this, we have to measure, because what is not measured, can it really be achieved? How do you know you've achieved it if you're not measuring and monitoring? So there are global indicators. There are about 11 indicators under the Sustainable Development Goal 4 alone, which focuses on education. We don't need new indicators to measure our progress. We just need to get smarter about how we apply these indicators within the context of a country like Nigeria. So my key point is really that we need, for us to move to evidence-based policy making, which is the gold standard, we really do need to start thinking deeply about applied research and how we can make that applied research become custom in a country like ours. Rhoda?
Thank you
so much, Dr. Moy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Pretty much around policies, and you know how policies just kind of speak to the voiceless, and so that's why the evidence-based approach, research is critical in getting us to this place where we want to be, getting us to implement and integrate technology into our lives, because we actually do live technology. So I would closing statements, and Ms. Sogunde, do we still have like 2 to 5 minutes for closing statements for everyone?
3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes, because we're rounding up in 7 minutes. Yeah.
Right. So 30 seconds.
3 minutes.
With Femi, let me say it to you this way: technology, future, career path. Closing statement.
Closing statement. Thank you, Rhoda. Very critical is that we don't just see technology as a means to deliver education, but we have to see technology as the future of life and the future of the careers that young people are being prepared for. So it's even more important that we help them to become used to technology, engage with technology, and be able to leverage technology to be able to create solutions and solve problems. So that's the most important. That's one of the most important things to consider after this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dimeji, a world without technology, the 5th industrial revolution. Closing statements.
January, about 7 months ago, is just like 7 years ago because of the pandemic.
That's right.
Education needs to be seen as a business. Business to impact, non-profit, that is for government. Business to impact and to make profit, that is for the private school. There is a need for us to embrace transformation, digital transformation in every business. So in this context, the school. So if we view this from this angle, it's going to help us, because we cannot continue to talk about no budget for education, for technology in education. And if there is going to be a budget, the business needs to be seen as a business so that accountability can be put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Ayomide, of course, closing statements from you. From the angle of your student voice.
Mine, I don't think I have any real closing statement in the sense, but technology, technology is, the way I see it, it's not something to be feared. It's something that it's creating a new path, a new way to everything, even for teachers. It's a place you could have learned something. I mean, I'm taking courses towards certifications. You may take the courses towards certifications. Even for teachers, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot each one of us actually doesn't know. And technology has given us access to what we would otherwise not have in the real sense of things. And yeah, I know there are a lot of things around the actual infrastructure and then the money needed to go into all of that. But yeah, I think the little we are all doing right now is going to help later on, slowly, but eventually.
Notice, thank you so much. I mean, notice that we didn't focus on the ugly, because I mean, the ugly and the bad, because people like to talk about technology and its disadvantages. And this panel wasn't actually towards that direction. I think that in summary, I would say what we all know that with every situation, there will always be the negative and the positives. And for me, I like to say it this way, that for technology, we need to amplify the good, minimize the ugly, and of course, try to eliminate the bad. Thank you so much, everyone. Wonderful contribution. Really grateful. Thank you, Mrs.
Yes,
this has been amazing. Thank you.
Honestly, this has been just a very, very awesome opening ceremony. And I can tell you there's so many things already just cracking in my head on the journey, on the way forward. One thing is certain. I know Mrs. Amber has always, she's been suggesting that to me for months now. We need to bring the students together. We need to hear from them. Because there's so many things the young gentleman said today that quite a number of us were not thinking that way. Imagine us bringing the GSS3 students, imagine us bring even the primary school students, all of them just together for 45 minutes discussion. I'm sure that we will have a lot to learn. So I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. By next week, we hope to bring you again another panel, maybe from the parents' angle now, because we have so many things lined up for this 30 days Edtech dialogue, a lot of discussions and a lot of things. So this is a beautiful opening ceremony. Thank you, Dr. Ogusoya. Thank you, Dr. Amber, Mrs. Amber. Thank you, Juliet. Thank you to all our panelists and moderators. And to our MC, please over to you for the closing remarks, and then we're done. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. It's been so insightful. I mean, I've been taking notes, and I'm sure that you have too. It's been so insightful. I mean, listening to everybody has been quite eye-opening and enlightening. I hope you've had a great time. I know I have, and it's been a pleasure to be here. I'd like to say, as we close, I'd like to say again that we really, really need to begin with our mindset. It's really important. Throughout the conversations, I kept seeing comments. You know, everybody had something to say. And, you know, some people were saying parents are not embracing, teachers are not embracing, the students are not ready to learn. We can point fingers till tomorrow at the other person, but we are not going to make progress that way. We are not going to make progress that way. This is a great starting point, but if there's anything I like to do when I have conversations or maybe trainings or anything, after everything has been said, the important thing are the things that will be done. So please, you know, just do a bit of reflection after this session. Ask myself, in the light of the new knowledge, in the light of new insights, in the light of new things that I have heard or learned today, what do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to continue doing? We've said a lot. But if each and every one of us will take one thing and iterate, or take one thing and, you know, just improve in your own little space. Don't look beyond your circle of influence. Begin with where you are. If you can do something just a little bit different, just a little bit better, and imagine that 500 of us are doing tiny things a little bit better in our tiny spaces, we will see the ripples effect. So thank you very much. Thank you again to Edumark Consult.
Yes, and you know, everyone knows how much. Please take short. Everyone knows how much I love Nigeria. Now we will sing it. You may not even need to stand up. Let's just sing it. Let's sing the first stanza, our national anthem again, so that we all know it's all about making Nigeria better. 1, 2, please unmute yourself, especially those of us on the panel. Okay. Rise on, Nigerians to serve our fatherland with love and faith.
To serve with one nation in freedom, peace and unity. Well done.
Thank you so much, everybody. You can see that with diverse voices and everything, we still manage to make it work. So even though friends from various parts of the country, from various tribes and talk, we all remain Nigerians. Let's make Nigeria work. God bless you and thank you. I hope we're taking photographs. Yes, all the selfies. The men take a selfie. So have a very, very nice day, everyone. Please join the dialogue. We continue on all our social media handles, on our YouTube channels, on our Facebook, on our Instagram. On Facebook alone, Edumark has almost 10 groups. So, and they're very, very vibrant ones. We're continuing the conversation there. Please link up with us. We want to thank those who are supporting us. Ibrahim, what's the name of that organization?
Real Boss.
Real Boss Cooperatives. Thank you very much for coming in, at least to support us for this program, because it's not always easy putting this kind of thing together. Thank you, everyone. And we'll soon be back once again. Enjoy 30 days of Edtech dialogue. Rhoda, Dimeji, thank you. Ayomide, see you, darling. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.